Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the individual speakers, commentators, guests, experts, and our hosts. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the network, broadcaster, channel, and/or program's policy or the views held by this network, broadcaster, channel, or program. The network, broadcaster, channel, or program cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of FEM Talk. So I am going to bring the beautiful Dr. Melissa Simmons into the room so we can get this show started. And then we can't hear you. What's going on? So while she is doing that, maybe check your volume on your laptop there or your computer. That volume looks good. Everybody bear with us as we go through the technical difficulties today. I know it's been storming here in Charlotte, North Carolina, pretty much all day. So I don't know if that has anything to do with what's happening on the technical side, but we want to hear what Dr. Melissa has to say. So we're going to give her a moment to look into what's happening on her side of things. But as we wait, and let me just send a nice message there to her. But we have a great show for you, and I'm like so excited about this question that is out there for tonight. And we're gonna start that pretty soon. And we are missing our Shishi Talks tonight. She is a little bit under the weather, so we are sending love and prayers to her as she takes care of herself this evening. All right, so give us one moment here. And Dr. Melissa is going to go out and come back in. And we're going to say that the third time is going to be a charm. And we're going to be able to hear everything that she has to say when she comes back in. So I'm going to read you the question. We're not going to get into this question, and I'll probably read it again when Dr. Melissa comes back on. But I'm going to read you this question because I like this one. It says, what are some things men assume women want in a partner, but women actually don't care about? Interesting question. So just for the audience out there, think about this question and make some comments and talk to us. And we're going to give Dr. Melissa an opportunity to come back in. I tell you, I'm just going to talk to you a little, just ad lib a little bit for a minute here, just to talk a little bit about life. Life has been quite interesting lately. There have been so many things that have been happening. But I want to talk about that wellness side of things. And we definitely are going to have a wellness talk this evening. But there has been so much happening in the lives of, friends and extended family members and my own family, where we have just been experiencing a lot of illness. And it concerns me It concerns me that this is what's happening to, my people. And I want to just talk to everyone a moment out there about really thinking about how you can better take care of yourself. You know your own lifestyle. You know what you are consuming, not only from the food that you take in, but also, just the energy that you take in, some of the products that you're using. I want you to think about all of that. And I want you to take an assessment of what you're doing when it comes to your body, your life, how you're living life. Maybe you're stressed out. Maybe you're taking in too much stress as well, either from your career or family, or you're just dealing with, illness in your family too. But you have to think about the things that you're consuming and what you can do to release stress, what you can do to change some of your, not so healthy habits, what you can do to make changes in your life on a daily basis that are going to help you to live well. I've just seen way too much illness over the course of, the last 6 months, I would say. And I'm really concerned, and I want our people to live long lives and live really healthy. And it really does matter everything that you do on a daily basis. And that is all encompassing, right? We want to think about every little thing that we're doing on a daily basis that contribute to us either being ill or us either being well. So I wanted to mention that because there have been some lives lost, and there have been some challenges, some wellness challenges that people have been going through, and treatments that have been happening, and illnesses that have been diagnosed, and people just dealing with things that, some of those things we can really mitigate if we just change what we're doing every day. And then some of those things that we need to deal with, we can change. How we choose to take care of ourselves as a result of, being diagnosed with something, some type of illness. So I just wanted to mention that it's really imperative that we really take care of ourselves, and we take stock, and we take note of, again, the daily habits that contribute to what's happening in our lives. um, okay. So I just wanted to mention that we're still going to give Dr. Mimi an opportunity to come back into the room tonight. And I hope you all are thinking about that question that I just read, because it's an interesting one. And I don't really want to get into this topic just yet, but I will in a moment, as we wait for her to come on in. But another topic that we had for this evening, da, 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 around our, yes, hot topic. So one of those hot topics for tonight is, do you think that P. Diddy, Puff Daddy Combs, whatever you call him, however many names that he has, do you think that he should be released? And Dr. Mimi is coming back into the room. So let's see if we can hear her now. I heard a sound, but I don't see your face now. Can you hear me, Dr. Melissa? There we
Hello.
are. All right.
I can hear you.
Yes, and I can
I can
hear
hear
you now.
you.
Yay.
I don't know what happened there. I had to switch computers, but thank God I had one to switch, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So good. I can hear you really well now. Um,
Awesome.
so I was getting into, I just read the hot topic question, and that was, do you think Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Combs, whatever you call him, do you think that he should be released?
Oh,
Hmm.
should he? Yes, I think he should be released.
Really?
Yeah, ain't that something?
Well, yeah, you are surprising me by that answer.
um, you know, I think for me at this point, and I think I'm frozen. Do you see that?
You're moving, it freezes and then you move again.
And then I move. Okay.
Hmm.
I'm not on my computer, so I don't know how to maneuver this new one. But Um, I think the prosecution missed it,
Mm.
and I think they should have done a much better job on this trial. Um, can you still? Did I lose
I can hear
everything?
you. No, I can hear you.
Oh my God! Lamont, okay, you can still hear me.
I can still hear you.
I think the problem. You can still hear me. There it
I can still
goes.
hear you.
I think the problem we're having is it, it wasn't a fair trial. I don't. I think they should have done a much better job at this point. I think they're holding him. I mean, people have done. I compared it to we have a president who's been convicted 31 counts of all kinds of stuff, and he's the president. So now
Mhm.
we want to hold Diddy, who got 2 counts of whatever, and we want to hold him to a different standard. Not at all.
Mhm.
So I don't. I think he needs to be released and let it keep on moving.
Mhm.
His attorneys did go to the president to see if they would, consider a pardon. I think that's a bit much, but I think at this point, these standards in this country today is out of control. What
Yeah.
is good for one side is not good for the other side.
Yeah.
And if they really wanted to do their job and prosecute him properly on those major charges, I mean, it wasn't even the major charges that they ended up convicting him on. So now you want to hold him for what? For
Yeah.
what purpose?
Yeah.
For what purpose?
Now, I will say this, right? Because I agree with you from the legal perspective, right? I agree that there wasn't
Hmm.
enough, obviously, right, to convict him because he only got convicted of two minor charges. So there wasn't enough. And from all that I heard in those
Right.
summaries of the trial, it was all storytelling.
Hmm.
It wasn't, legal facts put behind any real charges, right? So from that
Exactly.
perspective, I do agree.
Exactly.
Yeah, from that perspective, I do agree. When it comes to, the moral and ethical side of things, then yeah, he should be locked up because there was a lot of damage that was done to people throughout, all of the stories that were told. There was a lot of damage that was done. But again, it was a story. It was like, you were listening to an audible novel as you were listening to the trial, right? There wasn't really any real
Exactly.
facts that supported the charges. So from that perspective, I agree with you. But I do think that it would be a shame for him to come out and feel like he is untouchable and continue to do the things that he has done to people in the past. I hope, and I pray that he has learned from this experience and that he will not continue to hurt people in the way that he has. But um, in my opinion, I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I'm going to be honest with you in that regard. I
Right.
feel like he's going to continue. So I hope
But I,
that.
I think that's the problem I have.
Mhm. I
Uh,
hope from
that's
from
the
people. Yeah, it sounds like you're frozen again.
Yeah, I see it. Oh, here you
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
There you go. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's sad that it's gotten to this point where even when you're guilty of things, you're not, depending on who you are, the justice system isn't working on your behalf anymore.
Mhm.
And there was a lot more that needed to be done. And I'm at the point where um I'll say this. The other night, I was listening to Kamala Harris, and she decided not to run for governor of California. And she says she just wants to bow out of the political scene right now, in a sense
Mhm.
where she doesn't want to be a part of it because the system is broken. She said that
Yeah.
it is obvious that the system is broken. And that's what I'm feeling. System
Yeah.
is broken.
Yeah.
So I'm not impressed anymore. Yeah, Diddy did a whole bunch of stuff wrong, but so did a lot of other people. And my number one point finger to is, and one of them is the president.
Yeah.
So I'm not happy with the state of affairs in this country. And yeah, release him.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put somebody in office and don't care what they did,
Yeah.
after 31 counts, then why do you want to hold this man?
Yeah. Now, agreed, right, from that standpoint. But then it also begs the question then, how much more, and this goes for both of them, right? How much more damage do people have to endure as a result of these people who are out here just continuously wreaking havoc? And I'm going to put it in that manner, right,
Hmm.
on the lives of other people. Because if
Right.
it, at the level, because you're talking about levels now, right? So at the
Right.
level where we have a president in office who has been convicted of 32 counts and he's still allowed to
Hmm.
be president. And then you have Diddy, who had all these charges and only had two minor charges that he's convicted of. How long will they be allowed to continue to wreak havoc on people's lives? How long will they be able to allow to do so much damage? Because they have, right? Both of them
Hmm.
in their different ways. So if we continue to make all of these allowances, right, common people suffer as a result of, these allowances that are being made.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But until we could change the people in office,
Yeah.
and it goes down to the Supreme Court,
Hmm.
um, Congress, the Senate. I mean, every no nobody has any. Everything is bought now. He bought the presidency. Elon Musk is part of his. It just goes on and on, and
Yeah.
everybody's now sitting around. Those in power are sitting around watching it go down the toilet, and they don't care.
Yeah. But then, okay, so then you have to take it
So
from
what
the
do we
other
do?
side too, right? And now you have to say, we the people have to make changes in our own lives. We the people have to make sure that we're not allowing the things to happen to us that we have seen happen before. Because listen, we are larger in numbers. We the people are a lot larger in numbers, and we're going to have to take our stance so that we don't have these
Yeah.
things happening to us. Right. So if anything that we've learned from, this P. Diddy case,
Right.
it's not allowing, people to just do things to you for the sake of popularity, for money, for fame and fortune, right? We don't want these things to happen, and you should not allow these things to happen. And you've heard people on the stand who are now have the fortune and they have the fame, but to hear the damage that it has done to them, and they'll never be the same. We have to stop allowing those things to happen to ourselves in order for change to happen.
Yeah. I agree. There's a lot to be, a lot of this last few years, um, and last couple of years, I think has taught me a lot about the state of affairs of this country,
Yeah.
about the moral compass of this country,
Yeah.
and the determination for those with certain religious and personal views, because they're not political. It's very
Mhm.
personal. It's I don't like these kind of people. I
Mhm.
don't accept these kind of people. And whatever you want to put into these, put it in. Because there's a
Mhm.
whole litany of people that, those in power right now don't like. A
Yeah.
litany of people, right? People of color, people of transgender, LG, LGBTQ. You could keep on going.
Mhm.
Immigrants. There's this litany of people, people that are poor, people
Yeah.
that are homeless, people that don't have food. All
Yeah.
of these things, have been talked about, that they don't like none of these people.
Yeah.
You, me, what I'm saying? We don't belong in their head in this country. So
Yeah.
until that changes, because I know I worked for change. I
Mhm.
worked hard for change,
Mhm.
and enough people, more people than I thought, didn't believe what I believed
Yeah.
at,
Yeah.
at a very basic humanity level.
Yeah. Yeah. And how unfortunate.
How
Um,
unfortunate.
yeah. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit. Um, but we'll keep you posted on that. I know the charges are not the sentencing rather is going to be done on October 3rd. So we'll continue to talk about this case um,
Mhm.
as it continues to progress and when we hear a sentence. So just wanted to also bring up, we also have a segment called. So, Dr. Mimi, while you were, getting your technical issues resolved, I was just talking about, the fact that there has been so much illness in my family and my extended family and friends, and it's just happening, kind of across the board and running the gamut. And I was just talking about, the things that we need to like kind of take stock of in our own lives in order to better take care of ourselves. And if we do get to a diagnosis, how we want to make changes in our lives in order to still live well. So I
Mhm.
know you have your own wellness journey that you've been on lately. And I first want to celebrate you and say, woohoo!
Yeah, woo, woo, woo. I'm
Ring the
gonna
bell.
do what I did a couple of weeks last week. Yeah,
Woohoo!
I was able to ring the bell.
Yes.
And if you follow anybody's journey, when it comes to breast cancer and any kind of cancer, really, once you finish with treatments in the hospital, you get to ring the bell.
Hmm.
So I got to ring the bell after my final radiation treatment.
Yes. Woo.
So I it was a, I don't know, such the moment just to ring the bell. The moment they said, "Okay, this is the last one."
Yeah.
The moment I got off the table and that was the last radiation treatment. That's that whole day was just something. And I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it because it's been a journey. And let me say this, I am so grateful for where I am today. I honestly have no complaints because it could have been worse. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Other people have gone through so much more than I have. And I salute them that has really endured so much more than I have. But I'm grateful for where I am, the
Yeah.
treatment I was able to receive. And now the journey is, I mean, it's still on the journey. Unfortunately, this is not the end of the journey, but it's the end of this component, which from October to now has been quite quite a few months. Quite
Yeah.
a few months. I don't even know how to explain it. But in this journey, but in this segment, in terms of wellness, what I will say is it matters. Doctor checkups. It
Mhm.
matters. Um, doing the things that you've heard should be done.
Mhm.
Um, getting your mammograms. Please get your mammograms annually. I mean, from years we've been hearing this, and it was in a routine mammogram examination that this was found
Yeah.
on for me. And I will say this: I had missed a year. I
Mhm.
missed a year because of COVID, and I moved and everything, and trying to find a new doctor and all that stuff. So I had missed it. Thank God my primary doctor said, "Well, I'm going to give you the script. Just
Mhm.
go. Just go
Mhm.
anywhere." I didn't find a GYN, which is usually, quote unquote, where we go for those scripts. But now you don't have to.
Mhm.
Anybody, you could actually walk in now and just
Mhm.
get a mammogram. You don't even need a prescription to get it anymore. It's a lot of medical insurance plans. It's automatic. So as long as you between a year, you can go get the exam. So go, even if you don't have a doctor telling you to go, you could go and just sign up yourself. So I hope that helps somebody out there. But I will say this: get your exams,
Yeah.
do the follow up, even self exams. What I will say is the mammogram is key
Mhm.
because from what I'm seeing and hearing, by the time you feel something, it is already progressed.
Mhm.
Meaning you're in a stage of breast cancer or breast cancer, so you don't want to get to that stage.
Yeah.
That mammogram has that ability to find those kind of things. and the treatments are much more, I would say, progressive in that they're trying to stop it at stage 0
Mhm.
and on. You know what I'm saying? So if you could get something diagnosed in the early stage of this process, I recommend you just get your mammograms and do it. I
Yeah.
think for me that's the biggest, one of the biggest lessons I learned in this journey was the mammogram, and how important it is. And
Mm,
lastly,
uh,
so many other women have, more people than I even could have imagined has gone through this journey. A lot
mhm.
of people don't talk about it. I've walked into conversations and never knew people were experiencing breast cancer, colon cancer,
Yeah.
um, all kinds of different cancers, bladder cancer. There's so many cancers out there, and a lot of people don't share the journey, and I get it because I barely could speak it to myself, much
Mm,
less my family, and then much less anybody else. It's something hard to verbalize when you're
yeah.
in the midst of it. But the more you do talk about it, you'll find out you're just not alone.
Yeah.
And I think that feeling was also very comforting. Finding a sister that you can talk to, that you could share your concerns, your fears with, cry with, talk to. That's another thing. Just I applaud you, Tracy, and just the people I've been able to talk to, and get more information about how to live healthy.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to add to that too, just from the perspective of, getting your checkups, go to your doctor, ask for, that important blood work. Blood work is so important. But make sure that you know what you're asking for, right?
Yeah.
Because there are oftentimes when you just get like a regular blood check, right? When you get some
Mhm.
blood work done, it doesn't cover half of what you need.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that you're asking your doctor, particularly when you're in a situation like myself and Dr. Mimi, where you've experienced breast cancer, you've had those issues. You want to make sure that cancer is not continuing to stay in your body. You check those cancer markers. Ask the doctors to check those markers, right? If you've had some other issues, some other illnesses where there's a blood check that can be done, ask for them because sometimes they're not routine, and if your doctor does not request it, make sure that you ask for it so that you can get it done.
Yeah.
Because that also is a clue for your wellness, right? To know where you are in your journey,
Yeah.
and for you to be able to stay well and hopefully early detection, right? Help with that early detection if
And I'm
there
glad
is.
you mentioned that, Tracy, because the
Mhm,
other thing, as I'm going through this, um, genetic testing was offered to me to make sure that it's not that this doesn't run in my family, and
mhm,
I'm definitely following up on that because
mhm,
I want all the information. I want to
mhm.
know everything about myself, my family, and I think that's another thing. We think we know about our family history, but I learned I don't.
Yeah,
And it's only been in the last few years, and when I say few years, maybe 3 to 4 years, that we've even looked into our family history and medical history.
yeah,
Often we answer those questions: Did your mom have this? Did your dad have that? But it goes a lot deeper, and it's important that we follow up on our genetic, because a lot of these things are hereditary. We
yeah,
find out, no, so and so did have that because people don't talk about it. So sometimes
mhm,
we don't even know that so and so may have had this cancer or that cancer.
mhm.
So I think it's so important to just be more aware of the circumstances, and as much as you can, I wish we all could have that silver bullet to tell us how to get rid of cancer, but
Yeah,
clearly it's here, and and it's not, and then it hasn't left yet.
yeah,
So, and as many people are all kinds of generations, all kinds of backgrounds, a lot of people have it. So there's not one thing that they could even focus on to
yeah.
remedy cancer at this point. So I think
And
our best bet is just to, work with the system in a sense where knowing whatever cancers you have, doing early detection, colon cancer, get your, if you're over 50, get your testing,
yeah.
all kinds of different things.
Yeah. And one point that I want to make too is just really getting to know your body, right? Because there is no cookie cutter way to wellness for any individual. Everybody's bodies are different. And what your body is accepting may not be what someone else's body is accepting when it comes to diagnosis and treatment, right? So you really have to try to understand your own body, pay attention to what's happening in your body, and the way that I may be able to. Um, Help to heal my body might not be the same for someone else. So you need the information, but then you also need to understand what's happening to me personally. Um, and that's why that no getting tested and knowing what to ask for is really important because your situation may not be the same as somebody else who's going through the same or very similar diagnosis. So I just
Right.
wanted to mention that
And
also.
everybody, I love that, Tracy. Also, everybody's different.
Yeah.
I chose to do, and the treatment that I chose it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I
Right.
had options. I had a couple of options, and
Right.
I chose my treatment accordingly. Everybody has options. I
Yeah.
would say this: do your research,
Mhm.
um, and get other medical opinions.
Mhm.
Um, I think too often we do our research and then we stop and we take other methods.
Mhm.
But I found that in talking to more doctors, um, they have so much statistics behind a lot of what they're recommending. So to listen to all factors when you make your decision, I think it's important.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it may be a mix of things, right? So
Yeah.
you have to do what's right for you and listen to your discernment too, right? Because your
Mhm.
body will tell you too what it needs. You'll get some clues in terms of what you need to do. Listen to that gut feeling about what's right for you.
That's right
Um,
for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we have a topic. We're going to take a quick commercial break, everyone, and then we're going to come back and talk about our topic
All
for
right.
tonight.
Yes.
Here we go. Oh, and Dr. Melissa, before we get into this, we had a So we had an Ask Fem Talk question tonight, and I did pose this question at the beginning, but I didn't give an answer. I said we would answer once you came back in. So the
Oh,
question for tonight was, and this is a good one too. What are
good.
some things? What are some things men assume women want in a partner, but women actually don't care about? This is yeah,
Ooh.
this is an interesting question.
Wow, what
Yeah.
are some things that men assume women want in a
Hmm.
but women actually don't care about?
Yeah.
Um, oh, okay. I'm gonna throw a big one in there. I'm gonna say um wealth.
Mm, that's a good one.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
wealth.
Mhm.
Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody likes to have their money
Mhm.
their way, but I think these days women have learned how to take care of themselves.
Mhm.
And to have a man with wealth, and I say wealth, I'm not saying he don't
Mhm.
have a job, but I'm saying with
Mhm.
wealth,
Mhm.
I think it's something that, yeah, it's nice, but I'm not looking for that.
Mhm.
I think women have progressed to say, I want togetherness, I want companionship, I want partnership, I want romance, I want
Mhm.
love.
Mhm.
So I think those factors outweigh wealth. And I
Mhm.
say wealth like that. Because I think a lot of us get into relationships and, for various different reasons, we're just not. rich walking into them. But I don't think
Yeah.
they're looking for that. You don't want somebody who's destitute. I'm not saying women want somebody destitute.
Mhm.
And I think anybody with a gainful job, remember a couple of years ago, we asked the question, would you marry a bus driver? I think that
Mhm.
was the question. And more people would, I believe more women had said yes than no, because
Mhm.
as long as you have a good job, you have a good job. Bus drivers
Mhm.
make good money, got a nice pension.
Yeah.
Um, right. I'm here in Delaware. A lot of people retire here. A lot of them was police officers, correction officers, worked some in some governmental system, and they have great
Mhm.
pensions, and they're retired now.
Mm.
So let's not knock, the good job in the sense where it's stable. You got money, and you could retire at an early age and still live well. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think women are looking for a rich man, and I don't think that's the case anymore.
And I'm glad you changed the word that you were using, because I think the rich is the part that's men assume, because the wealth can mean a lot of things, right? The wealth part of it can mean, because I want somebody wealthy, but I want them wealthy in mindset,
Yes,
wealthy in health. You know what I mean? Wealthy in compassion. A lot of I want them to have wealth in other areas, but the money part of it, if he has a good mind, and a lot of willpower, right? And is a very progressive person, and we can build riches together as
yes,
long as you're wealthy in all those other areas. But I do agree with you there, especially women, over, I would say, like, I'm going to even go as far as to say 30 and over. Right, because a lot of the 30-year-olds on up are these women are doing their own thing. They're making their
yeah,
own money, when they get to that 30 mark and over. So I would definitely say, definitely women of a certain age group. I'm not thinking about the riches as much, especially if you have a man that you can grow with,
yeah.
right?
Because
Yeah.
I will say this: riches come and go.
Yes.
Money, finances ebbs and flows,
Yes.
regardless of how much you make or don't make.
Yes.
Meaning, depending on life circumstances, money goes up and down.
Mm-hmm.
How many people we saw prior to COVID had mansions, and after COVID had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
After 9/11 had wealth and now lost all their wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Money comes and goes. And I
Yeah.
think that's another thing that, women have come to understand.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking for quote unquote a rich man, like what does that mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of people walk after or run after celebrities, especially sports celebrities
Mm-hmm.
and those, actors and singers. And sometimes by the time their career is over, or, their 10 minutes of fame is gone, so is the money.
Mm-hmm.
Never even had it. It was all a facade.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to be careful in terms of I want, somebody with money, because
Yeah.
money, and I've learned in my relationship, it's going up and down,
Yeah. Yeah.
depending on, if when we had children, when we had, school age children, when all that kind of stuff matters. It
Yeah.
changes financial pictures often.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like looking at a chart of a certain stock, right? You're going to see it go up, you're going to see it go down, and it happens in your own life as well. So
That's right.
I agree with that completely. All right. So our topic for tonight, which, Dr. Melissa can really talk about this. I can only give you a parent perspective, on this topic, but Dr. Melissa has the ends, the ends on this one. So the question of the night is the educational system broken in this country? I'm gonna want you. Let me start on this one because I know you got a lot that you could
Go
talk
ahead,
about.
go for it.
And I'm gonna come from, the parent perspective and a person who looks at these systems now in a very different light.
Very different life.
It is absolutely broken. Absolutely broken. And Dr. Melissa could tell you the why behind the brokenness. I'm just going to say, from a parent's perspective, socially, it's broken,
Hmm.
financially, it's broken, and from a curriculum perspective, it is broken. We are not giving our children, and I'm so glad that my son is out now. Um,
Hmm.
from this system, because we are not giving our children what they need to thrive in this life. And I'm going to say this, and yep, this is my opinion. I put the disclaimer out there. This country is focused on building slaves. Yep, slaves. And this is not about color or culture. What I'm talking about comes from the education system. And this country is about building slaves to work for the other systems in this country, which is big business, big banks, and that's what we're building in this educational system. That's my opinion. That's how I feel about it, and I'm glad that I could give my son a different perspective for him to move on differently in his life from the way that I moved, because I didn't know any better at the time,
Yep.
and I continue to stay in the system, but they're building slaves, and I'm going to leave it there and let Dr. Melissa go into the particulars.
Don't leave it there. Because that is such a good depiction of what's happening.
Mm,
I'm gonna give a quote that I heard somebody, a teacher, one of the school systems I was in at one time. A lot of the children, a number of children were failing,
mm,
and administrators, question, like, what are you doing? Like, you need to change your practices. You need to you need to look at the way you are, the pedagogy of how you are trying to deliver this educational information to these children.
mhm,
And the teacher responded, I love these children. You have no idea how much I love these children.
mhm,
And the administrator turned back to the teacher and said, I didn't ask you to love these children. I
mm,
asked you to teach these children.
yeah. Mm,
That, I think, is the emphasis of why this system is broken.
yeah.
You have a lot of false emotions out there in the realm of teaching. And you have a lot of, and what comes with it also is a lot of these preconceived ideas and preconceived beliefs
Mm,
on what children can and can't do.
yeah.
And you're putting these people in front of children that for a large part do not look like them,
Mm,
and they already have this preconceived belief of what these children can and cannot do,
mm,
and then you ask them to teach them. And I have seen it time and time again in
yeah.
the classroom. I've seen it in meetings. I see it by what they say, by what they do. um, I was looking at some information recently, and found out that one school system, which is one of many, um, teachers don't even teach all day. They just don't. So what are you doing the rest of the day
Yeah.
if you're not teaching? But this is contractual. This is not. This is not. This is part of the contract. Meaning, this is
Yeah.
what they've agreed to. Everybody's agreed to this. I've heard so many different perspectives on why things aren't happening.
Yeah.
And I've seen, I started in education when in New Jersey, where the big court case was Abbott versus Burke. And Abbott was a student in an urban city in New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
and his mother sued the commissioner of education, who was Burke. That was his last name. That's where the names come from.
Mm-hmm.
And the fight was, my child in the urban setting cannot receive a thorough and efficient education because the tax money that my urban city can raise fails in comparison to a rich town in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And they were right, because most of
Mm-hmm.
the money from taxes, local taxes. And that law won in the Supreme Court. And the thorough and efficient education meant that the state of New Jersey had to equalize the playing field. And if you can't raise enough tax money, then we would give you the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been around for now, gosh, 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
50, 40, it's been a while. I think almost 50 years, could be 60, but I have to count. But anyway, that law put more money in urban districts,
Mm-hmm.
a lot more money in urban districts. those same urban districts, a lot of them are still failing.
Yeah.
So was it the money?
Yeah.
So was it the need of the money? Um, and I still watch. I said this years ago, and it still holds true. Good educational leaders will always be good educational leaders.
Yeah.
If a person knows how to run a school, a principal knows how to run a school, they will always have a successful school. Period.
Hmm.
And when a principal does not know how to lead a school, they don't.
Yeah.
In bigger districts, I watched the same person be successful in one school and they move into another school and they get successful again. And they do it like that because they know how to lead. They know how to lead educational teachers, systems, and they know how to effectuate change in children. They
Yeah.
understand how to implement the educational plans for children. They understand it, and they train their staff to do it, and
And
it follows.
but okay, so I agree with that point, but I also challenge the plans that these schools have for these children, right? Because what are they really learning that's going to help them further in life? You mentioned something earlier, and this is just me taking note, right? I live across the street from an elementary school. And I
Mhm.
know that, of course, school is not in session right now, but they will be back soon. But what I noticed is the children are outside a lot. And I was thinking to myself, why are these kids always outside? What are they learning if they're always outside? Now, I understand that when it's an elementary school, they need that time for play. They need to release that energy, right? And they need the vitamin D even. But why are they outside so much? Because, and then I question, what are they actually learning? So I'm questioning the plan. I don't know what the plans are right anymore, especially now that my son is out and I'm
Mhm.
just coming out off of high
Right,
school. But what are the plans? Because the plans don't help the kids decide what they need to do with their life to move
right.
further. It doesn't give them the tools for life after school is over. And I'm saying high school, after
For
school is
so
over.
many, you're right. For so
Yeah,
many children, it does not give them the tools.
yeah,
And that educational leader I was talking about, that great principal,
yeah,
their children won't be outside 2 hours a day. They
yeah,
they won't,
yeah,
but they will change the system in that school to make it work.
yeah.
Um, the successes are very individualized. You
Mm,
often do not see success in a whole district.
mm,
You'll see that success in education comes very individually,
mm,
meaning if you have a good educator that's leading the building, that system, that school building,
mm-hmm,
even if everybody follows the same curriculum,
mm-hmm,
that educator who is a great leader, they will be successful.
yeah.
It's the implementation of the educational programs. It's the
Mm-hmm,
implementation because there's a lot of leeway in
mm-hmm,
school. You have the same curriculum, but you could implement it differently
mm-hmm,
across your schools could be right next to each other. You could have two different implementations of it.
mm-hmm,
I often heard middle school principals talk about, yeah, middle, usually in districts you have a certain amount of elementary schools that feeds into a middle school, and then those middle schools feed into a high school, right?
mm-hmm,
Um, I've heard often middle school teachers say, yeah, when we get the students from this school, they're ready. But when
mm-hmm,
we get the students from this school, they're never ready
mm-hmm,
for middle school. Same curriculum,
mm-hmm.
two different leaders, two different implementations.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And, and until we understand how to create a more seamless process where you don't have you can't choose how to do this.
Mhm,
You have to learn how to lead. I'm going to teach you how to lead, and then you have to follow until you can figure this out. You're going to follow
mhm,
this program. You're going to
mhm,
do this way, or go into the, like, one of the things that now is often heard is educational coaches, where now they're finding teachers who aren't in the classroom anymore, who for whatever reason aren't in the classroom. Now they go back into the classroom, and they coach other teachers in how
mhm,
to implement the educational plans for the students.
hmm.
I don't even know what the qualifications of some of these coaches are to
Yeah.
go do that. Were they successful in their classrooms?
Yeah.
To now you and I are coaches. We had to go through a specific coaching training program,
Mm.
and then we had to do work. We had to show that we could coach, what kind of coaching we would do, and then we would go in and then begin to coach. I had to do
Yeah.
hours of coaching to earn
Yeah.
a certificate,
Yeah.
to say I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, right?
Mm.
I can prove I was successful doing that, right? Because I was trained to coach.
Mhm.
But a lot of these people aren't trained to coach.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? They don't have a certificate in coaching.
Yeah.
So now they're going back in the classroom and helping teachers do what? Because
Yeah.
now teachers are coming out, they can't teach. How
Hmm.
did that happen? That they can't teach?
Yeah.
It's we a lot of the basics in education has been lost.
Mm.
And I recently, I'll give you just a scenario. There was a school district, and they were not performing well, and the superintendent said, I want everybody in every class throughout the district, regardless of the type of class, every student has to write. What do you mean every student has to write? Math, science, language arts, music, art. Every day, every student has to write.
Mm.
It could be 10 minutes, but they have to write. Guess what happened the next year? Test scores went up.
Mm.
Because the educational process, the learning process of writing, and regardless of the subject,
Mhm.
educational, the learning that happens for a child to look at a paper, get a pencil or pen, think
Mhm.
about, what am I learning in art today, and write about that.
Mhm.
The learning not just sticks for art, but it sticks for language arts. It sticks
Mhm.
for, depending on what you're writing, it sticks
Yeah.
for numerous things.
Yeah.
Analysis,
Yeah.
there's a lot of benchmarks that are met in a writing process, right?
Mm.
And we've gotten away from writing,
Yeah. Yeah.
away from it. He said, write. Everybody
Yeah.
had to write, not type, write.
Yeah. And there's something about making that connection between your brain, right? Your eyes, what you see, and then what you have to kind of implement, which is through writing. Yeah.
And
There's something about
reading,
that. I always learned
yeah,
better that way. Yeah, if I wrote it down, I could remember it a lot better than if I didn't, right? Um, this is a good topic. I want to kind of put this question out there. I know we're at the end of the show, but I also wanted to just kind of think about the curriculums themselves and the measure of whether or not those are successful. Because you did mention testing, right? And I know that a lot of testing is necessary. And then there's a lot of testing that's not, right?
yes,
So maybe that's a subject for another day, but could just kind of wanted to put that out there for people to consider, especially, if you have kids that are going through the education system. The other thing that I wanted to think about too, and this is something that we have to talk about later also, but the fact that teachers are writing certain kids off because they're active, right? And
mhm,
kids are being classified as having ADHD, where sometimes that could be true, and sometimes maybe that's not true. Sometimes they're just not implementing enough for those kids to learn. So I wanted to just put those out there as things that people can think about, particularly as you're going through things with your own children that may be in school right now. So two things to think about, Dr. Melissa. Maybe if you can come back on that, maybe we'll have those as like a topic or a segment on
great
another
topic.
show.
That
Yeah,
whole special education, the
yeah,
entire special education
yeah,
process, we could do 3 shows on that. Because
yeah,
so many more children, especially after COVID,
yeah,
have received an IEP, educational, and an individual educational plan, which determines that they're special ed class.
yeah, yeah,
Many more
yeah,
students than ever before. So to
yeah,
talk about that, I think it would be real important, especially with parents and even with how do you now manage your child through this process, I think would be
Yeah.
a great discussion to have. Great.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we have to close out the show, everybody. You know, we like to get into these topics, but the end of the show is here. So we will bring you more on this subject and the questions that we put out there at the end of the show. But we love you. We thank you for being here. Join us again next week right here on FEM Talk at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will see you then.